The apartment smelled like burnt candles and 3 days of not trying. Mia sat on the floor of her studio, back against the foot of her bed, knees pulled to her chest. She had not moved from that spot in a while, not really. The kind of stillness that happens when your body gives up before your brain does. She was wearing an oversized cream-colored hoodie, the kind with no logo, just soft and heavy and worn in all the right places. Dark gray biker shorts. Mismatched socks, one white ankle sock and one tie-dye knee-high she got at a thrift pop-up 2 summers ago. Her locks were loose, half falling out of a pineapple she had stopped maintaining 2 days ago. Gold studs in her ears, one of which was a star and one of which was a tiny crescent moon because she lost the matching ones and stopped caring about symmetry. Her nails were painted terracotta, chipped at the tips. On her wrist was a thin cord bracelet with 2 wooden beads, left over from someone she used to call her person. Outside the narrow window, the city was doing what cities do. Noise. Motion. Absolutely zero awareness that Mia's entire world had gone quiet. 5 days since she found out. 5 days since her photography portfolio, the one she had spent 8 months building, the one she had told her closest friend Jade about in a late-night voice memo, ended up submitted under someone else's name to the internship she had been dreaming about since freshman year. 4 days since the program coordinator sent her a stiff, formal email saying the slot had already been filled. 3 days since she tried to say something and was told she had no proof. 0 days since she had eaten an actual meal. Her phone was face down on the carpet. She was not ready for it. The knock hit twice. Hard. Not polite. The kind of knock that means I am not leaving. She did not move. Mia. The voice came through the door low and direct. I know you're home. Your Spotify is audible from the hallway and you've been playing the same song on repeat for like 6 hours. She froze. She knew that voice. She had been successfully avoiding it at every family gathering for 2 years because people who had their life together made her feel like a draft that did not get published. She crossed to the door slowly and looked through the peephole. Callum Reed. Jade's older brother. 25. Grad student. The kind of person who showed up to casual things looking like he had a stylist but somehow made it feel effortless. He was standing in the hallway in a worn-in chocolate brown leather jacket over a simple white tee, dark straight-leg jeans, and clean tan boots. His dark auburn hair was slightly pushed back, still damp at the edges from the rain outside. He was holding a paper bag and looking like he had made a deliberate decision to be standing exactly where he was. Mia did not open the door. I already know what happened, he said. Jade told the family her version. I don't think her version is what actually went down. Mia's hand found the doorknob. She opened it. Just enough. What do you want, Callum? He looked at her. Not the way people look when they are trying to figure out what to say. He looked at her the way people look when they have already decided to stay. You haven't eaten, he said. I can tell. You can't tell anything. You've got that look. My old therapist used to call it existing on autopilot and anger. He paused. I know it because I've worn it. She stared at him. You had a therapist? Still do. That's not the point. He held up the bag. Spicy mango bowl from that place on Delaney. You've tagged it 4 times on your close friend's story. Her stomach made a sound that was, objectively, humiliating. That is not an invitation, she said. Cool. He leaned against the door frame. Completely unbothered. I'll wait out here then. I cleared my evening. The rain tapped against the hallway skylight. Down the corridor, someone's Bluetooth speaker was playing something that felt too heavy for early afternoon. Mia looked at him. He did not look away. She stepped aside. He walked in. Set the bag down on her desk slowly, carefully, like he was aware that the whole room was fragile right now. That was when she noticed it. The way his jaw was set, not relaxed, tight, like he was holding something back behind his teeth. "Are you okay?" she asked before she could stop herself. He was quiet for too long. "Callum." He turned around. And the look on his face was not what she expected from someone who always seemed to move through the world without friction. "My photography collective folded 7 weeks ago," he said. "We had a show lined up. A real one. Gallery in the Arts District. My co-founder pulled the funding and took our equipment list and our contact sheet when she left." He exhaled slowly. "I had to call 12 people and tell them the thing we built together was gone. 12 people who had turned down other opportunities for us." Silence sat between them like something with weight. "So no," he said quietly. "I'm not okay. But I heard what happened to you and I could not just stay home." Mia felt something shift inside her chest. Not romantic. Human. The kind of shift that happens when someone drops the performance in a world where everyone is always performing. "Why do you actually care?" she asked. "We don't know each other like that." He held her gaze for a long moment. "Because Jade is my sister and I love her. But what she did to you was not okay. And someone needed to say that to your face." Mia's phone lit up on the carpet. A notification from her DMs. She glanced down. It was from Jade. The preview read, "Before you listen to anything Callum says, there's something you need to know about him. Don't trust what he tells you." Mia looked up. Callum was already watching her face. His expression told her he already knew what it said. The DM sat open on her screen like a lit match someone dropped on the floor. "Before you listen to anything Callum says, there's something you need to know about him. Don't trust what he tells you." Mia read it twice. Then she looked up at Callum. He was standing with his arms at his sides, completely still, and his face was doing something she had not seen it do before. It was not guilt. It was not performance. It was the look of someone who had already rehearsed this moment in their head and still did not know how it was going to land. "You already knew she was going to send that," Mia said. "Not a question. I figured she might. And you came anyway." "Yeah." Mia crossed her arms. She was still in her oversized cream hoodie, her locks loose and unbothered, and she felt every inch of being someone who had already been lied to once this week and could not afford a second round. "So what is it?" she asked. "What's the thing she doesn't want me to know you told me?" Callum pulled out the chair at her desk and sat down backward on it, arms folded over the back. The leather jacket made a soft sound. His boots were still damp at the edges from the rain outside. 2 years ago," he said, "Jade and I co-ran a creative project together. A zine. It was her concept originally and I helped her build it out. We had contributors, a small following, real momentum." He paused. When it started getting attention from an actual publication, she pivoted. Rebranded it without telling me. Removed my name from the credits. Said she had always been the sole creator. Mia was very still. "I never went public with it," he said. "She's my sister. I just stepped away. And she's using that silence to make you look like the threat." He nodded slowly. "If you go to her about the portfolio, she's going to flip it. Make me the story. She already has a version ready." The rain picked up outside. The city noise filtered through the window, muffled and distant. Mia sat down on the edge of her bed and stared at the floor for a moment. "Why are you telling me this now?" she asked. "You could have just brought the food and left." "Because you're about to make a move," he said. "And if you make it without knowing the full shape of the room, she's going to walk out clean again." Mia looked at him. Really looked. "You could also be doing exactly what she said you'd do," Mia said. "Getting ahead of the story. Making me trust you before I know enough to decide whether I should." Callum did not flinch. "You're right," he said. I could be. You don't have any reason to trust me yet. Then why should I? You shouldn't, he said simply. Not yet. But you should eat something and think before you do anything. That part I'm sure about. Mia looked at the paper bag on her desk. Then back at him. Something in her chest was doing a thing she did not have a name for yet. She reached for the bag. They sat in the kind of quiet that is not actually quiet, the kind that is full of everything neither person has said out loud. She ate. He watched the rain hit the window like he was giving her space inside the silence. Then her phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from an unknown number. Ask Callum what really happened to the gallery show. Ask him who actually pulled the funding. Mia's stomach dropped. She looked up slowly. Callum's eyes were already on her phone. And this time, his jaw was not just tight. He looked like someone who had just run out of places to hide something. Mia turned her phone around so the screen faced him. He read it. His throat moved. His hands stayed still on the back of the chair, but his knuckles shifted just slightly, and she caught it. Who sent that? She asked. I don't know for sure. Callum. I have a guess. Then say it. He stood up from the chair. Walked to the window. The city outside was doing its thing, wet streets catching streetlights, umbrellas bobbing past below. He had his back to her for 5 full seconds before he turned around. He was still in the leather jacket, white tee underneath. His auburn hair had dried into something slightly unruly. He looked, for the first time since he had shown up at her door, like someone who was genuinely tired. I pulled the funding, he said. Mia went very still. It was my investor contact, he continued. My connection. I made a call 6 weeks before the show and I told her the project was not ready. That the lead co-founder had creative integrity issues. He exhaled. The co-founder I was referring to was not me. It was my partner at the time. She had been lifting concepts from other artists and presenting them as original in our pitches. I found out and I reported it internally first. When nothing happened, I made the call. Mia stared at him. So you killed your own show, she said slowly. I killed a show that was built on stolen work. His voice was level but not easy. 12 people lost the opportunity. I know that. I carry that. But if it had gone up with that work attached to it, those same 12 people would have had their names on something that was going to blow up eventually. And not in the good way. The room was so quiet she could hear the rain all the way through the walls. Why didn't you just say that when I asked if you were okay? She asked. Because saying I tanked my own project to protect other artists sounds either really noble or completely unhinged depending on how much you trust me. He looked at her. And you had no reason to trust me yet. Mia pressed her fingers to her mouth and thought. She was wearing her oversized hoodie still, the cream one, and she had pulled the sleeves down over her hands the way people do when they are trying to feel contained. Her locks had fully escaped whatever she had tried to do with them hours ago. She looked like someone who had been through something and was trying to figure out if she was through it yet or just in the middle. Jade knew, Mia said. It was not a question. Jade knew my partner had a pattern. She had seen it. She said nothing because my partner was connected to 3 opportunities Jade wanted access to. Something cold settled in Mia's chest. So Jade watched someone steal from artists and stayed quiet to protect her own come-up. And then, Callum said quietly, she did the same thing to you. The moment expanded. Mia stood up from the bed. She walked to her desk. She opened her laptop. She pulled up the submission portal for the internship, the one that had already told her the slot was filled, and she started typing a formal dispute with every piece of documentation she had. You have receipts? Callum asked. 8 months of time-stamped files, version histories, and a voice memo of Jade telling me the concept was my most brilliant idea yet. Mia did not look up from the screen. I wasn't going to use it because I didn't want to blow up a friendship. And now? She hit submit. There's nothing left to protect. Callum watched her from across the room. Something in his expression shifted into something quieter and more complicated than anything she had seen from him yet. She's going to come at you hard when she finds out, he said. I know. She's going to bring me into it. Make it messy. I know that too. Mia finally looked up from the screen. Are you going to disappear when it gets messy? She asked. He held her gaze. I showed up in the rain with a mango bowl for someone I barely know, he said. I don't think disappearing is my move. Her phone lit up again. This time it was a group notification. Jade had posted a video to her public account. The caption read, "Sharing my truth about the people in my circle who've been working against me." And in the thumbnail, grainy but unmistakable, was a screenshot of Callum's number in what looked like a private conversation. With Jade's investor. The same investor who had pulled the collective's funding. Mia looked at the screen. Then at Callum. And for the first time since he walked through her door, she did not know what his face was telling her. Mia held her phone out toward him. Screen first. He looked at the thumbnail. At his number. At the caption Jade had written like she was already taking a bow. The silence in the room had texture now. It had weight. Start talking, Mia said. Her voice was steady. That was the part that cost her. Callum ran a hand through his hair and sat down on the edge of her desk. The leather jacket shifted. He looked at the floor for exactly 3 seconds before he looked back up at her. I did reach out to the investor, he said. Mia felt her stomach fall. I reached out to her to tell her what my partner was doing. To warn her before the show went up. I was trying to stop something. Not start something. He held Mia's gaze and did not look away. Jade was CC'd on one of those emails because she was still technically listed as a project advisor. She kept that screenshot. She's been holding it for exactly the right moment. And this is the right moment. From her perspective, yeah. He exhaled. I just submitted evidence against her to an internship panel. She knows. She's moving fast. Mia set the phone down. She walked to the window. Outside the rain had slowed to a mist. The city was doing that thing where it looks almost soft at night, all blurred lights and reflections, nothing sharp. She pressed 2 fingers to the glass and felt how cold it was. I need to know something, she said without turning around. Okay. Is there anything else? Any other thing that comes out in the next 48 hours that you haven't told me yet? Pause. She turned around. He was looking at her with the kind of honesty that does not look composed because it isn't. When Jade first told the family what happened to you, she framed it differently, he said. She said you had copied her concept. That she had proof. The family mostly believed her because she had a whole presentation ready. He stopped. I knew it wasn't true because Jade had shown me your voice memo. The one you sent her. She played it for me 7 months ago and said, quote, my friend is going to build something real, and I'm going to be right there when she does. Mia's chest hurt. She saved my voice memo. She had been watching your idea develop this whole time. Mia turned back to the window. She felt something move through her that she did not try to name or stop. It passed through like weather. I sent the dispute form an hour ago, she said finally. The panel has my timestamps. They have version histories. They have 8 months of documented work. She paused. What does she have? A narrative, Callum said. And right now, an audience. Audiences change their minds. They do, he agreed. But it costs something to make them. Mia turned around again. She crossed the room slowly. She stood in front of him, close enough that she could see the tiredness he had been carrying the whole time he was in her apartment, the kind that sits right behind the eyes and doesn't move no matter how straight you stand. You sacrificed your show, she said quietly. Your collective. 12 people. You torched your own thing to keep it clean. Yeah. That had to be the loneliest decision you've ever made. Something in his face broke open for just a second before he put it back. It was, he said. Mia reached out and pressed her hand flat against his chest. Not romantic. Human. The way you do when someone finally admits they've been bleeding and you want them to feel that someone noticed. His hand came up and covered hers. They stood there in the low light of her studio, the city misting behind the window, and something between them rearranged itself quietly into a shape that had not existed before tonight. Her phone exploded. Notifications cascading. Her name trending in a small creative community thread. Screenshots being shared. Comments piling up under Jade's video. And then, buried in the flood, one DM from the internship panel coordinator. Subject line: Your dispute has been flagged for priority review. Please be available tomorrow at 10 a.m. Mia read it twice. Then she looked up at Callum. Tomorrow at 10, she said. I'll be here, he said. You don't have to be. He looked at her hand, still pressed against his chest. Then at her face. I know, he said. But outside in the corridor, footsteps stopped directly in front of Mia's door. And then came the knock. Not sharp. Not twice. Just one slow deliberate knock. And on the other side, a voice that made both of them go completely still. Jade. I know you're both in there, she said. And we need to talk about what Callum hasn't told you yet. Nobody moved. The knock sat in the air like the last note of a song that ends wrong. Mia looked at Callum. He had gone quiet in a way that was different from all his other kinds of quiet. This one was bracing. Open it, he said. Mia crossed the room and opened the door. Jade was standing in the hallway in a camel-tone trench coat, a fitted black turtleneck underneath, tailored wide-leg trousers, and low white sneakers. Her braids were pinned up perfectly. She looked like someone who had prepared for this. She looked like someone who had prepared for this weeks ago. She also looked, underneath all of it, like she had not slept. You submitted the dispute, Jade said. Her eyes went from Mia to Callum and back. I did, Mia said. Then you should know that I'm planning to go on record tomorrow. Jade's voice was level but thin at the edges. With everything. Including what Callum did to his own collective. Including the real reason the show fell apart. Including who he spoke to and what he said. I already told her, Callum said from across the room. Jade stopped. All of it, he said. I didn't leave anything out. Something crossed Jade's face. A fracture. Small but real. Then why is she still standing next to you? Jade asked. Because he told me the truth, Mia said. The whole shape of it. Not a version of it. Jade looked at Mia for a long time. The hallway was empty around her. The mist had turned back into soft rain outside the window at the end of the corridor. Everything was very still. I was going to tell you, Jade said finally. Her voice dropped. About the internship. I was going to tell you I submitted it. I thought, if it worked, if I got in, I would tell you after. I would make it up to you somehow. Mia felt something cold and final settle in her chest. But you didn't, Mia said. You got caught instead. I know. Jade's voice was barely there now. I know that. Why? Mia asked. Not angry. Just honest. We were good. We were actually good. Why? Jade looked at the floor. Because I was scared that you were going to get there before me. That you were going to take up the space I had been trying to reach for 2 years. And I couldn't figure out how to be happy for you and also terrified at the same time. She looked up. Her eyes were wet, but she was not letting them go. That's not an excuse. I know it's not. The silence was enormous. No, Mia said. It's not. Jade nodded once. She looked at Callum. Something passed between them that was old and unresolved and probably always would be. I'm going to withdraw the video, Jade said. And I'm not going to show up to the panel tomorrow. Jade, Callum started. I'm not doing it for you, she said. I'm doing it because it's the only thing I can actually do right now that isn't making everything worse. She looked at Mia one more time. I'm sorry. For what it's worth. I know it's not worth much right now. She left. The door stayed open behind her. Mia reached out and closed it softly. The room felt different now. Lighter and heavier at the same time, the way rooms do when something that has been building for a long time finally lands. Mia stood at the door with her back to Callum. She was still in her oversized cream hoodie, her locks loose, one mismatched sock visible under the hem of her shorts. She looked like someone who had survived something and was still deciding what to do with surviving. You okay? Callum asked. She turned around. No, she said. But I think I will be. He was watching her from across the room. Still in the leather jacket. Still looking like someone carrying more than he let people see. The rain was soft outside. The city was still going. It always kept going. The panel is at 10, he said. I know. You've got everything you need. I know that too. She walked back to the desk. She picked up the food container that had gone slightly cold. She handed him a fork she found in her drawer. They sat on the floor, backs against the bed, side by side, eating cold spicy mango bowls at whatever time of night it was. At some point the rain stopped. At some point the playlist down the hall switched to something less heavy. At some point Callum's shoulder found Mia's, or hers found his, and neither of them moved away. They did not talk about what came next. What came next was going to be complicated and public and probably painful in ways they could not predict yet. The panel. The fallout. The long process of rebuilding something after someone you trusted decided your dream was theirs to take. But right now there was just this. Two people who had told each other the truth in a world that made that genuinely rare. Two people who were not okay and were not pretending otherwise. Two people sitting in the honest, quiet, complicated space of having found something real by accident on the worst week of both of their lives. Outside, the city exhaled. Inside, for the first time in 5 days, Mia did too. The end.